Now on CoastTV News.
Retaliatory tariffs, how China's attempt to fight back impacts Delmarva.
Not so sweet, how new tariffs could impact candy shops and spike the cost of coffee.
Drawbridge debate, local opinions mixed on fixing the Rehoboth Bridge.
And we're expecting it to stay gray all day. More on the forecast coming your way.
This is CoastTV News at 5.
This Delmarva company, the direct target of retaliatory tariffs. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Christina DeRobertis. Charlie Sakaitis is on assignment. Welcome to our News at 5. We begin tonight with China targeting Mount Ayr farms.
After Trump announced a 10% tariff on all countries Tuesday, China hitting back with a tariff of their own. Coast TV News reporter Zakia Jennings in the newsroom with more on this. Zakia, China will impose a 34% tariff on imports of all U.S. products.
Maddie, they're also cutting back on some of their imports, specifically chicken. This includes all chicken imports from Delmarva Chicken Processing Company, Mount Ayr Farms. Mount Ayr Farms has locations all across Delmarva, including Millsboro, Selbyville, and Frankfort. China says it detected a banned drug in shipments from Mount Ayr Farms and another company. We reached out to Mount Ayr for a statement, who referred us to a statement from the National Chicken Council. The statement says, quote, "The bottom line for the American consumer is that this should have little to no effect on their chicken sandwich or wings, as more than 99% of the chicken we eat in America is hatched, raised, and harvested right here in the USA." It's unclear what this means for the company, but the statement the company sent us pretty much says they support the Trump administration's goals. Back to you.
Thank you. And China's retaliation against the latest round of U.S. tariffs is more sweeping than its earlier reciprocal actions. Beijing had responded to previous levies swiftly but moderately. It originally imposed retaliatory tariffs on targeted U.S. imports, including agriculture and fuel, while taking action against certain American firms and ramping up export controls.
Now, when you think of a trip to Rehoboth Beach, that might include a sweet treat or a caffeine pick-me-up, but those boardwalk buys will likely cost you more now. Coast TV News reporter Emma Aiken is live in Rehoboth Beach. Emma, you're at one of the businesses that says it could be hurt on a much larger scale.
Christina, here at Snyder's Candy, for them, the tariff effect goes beyond just losing money and charging more. Snyder says about 70% of their products are imported from other countries. If it comes to it, they may have to close their doors for good. And some of those items imported from other countries are Swedish fish, Dubai chocolate, and licorice. And if tariffs hit hard, they would have to switch to buying candy from within the U.S. But Snyder says they say that would basically defeat the purpose of the exotic experience that customers often stop by for.
To be honest, it's going to really cost us a lot of money, and it's going to be a lot harder just to be able to obtain or even really be able to keep the business.
Another thing Snyder's pointed out is how places like this are an essential part of the boardwalk experience. They say customers often come in looking for specific exotic snacks that they can't get anywhere else, and they just hope the tariffs don't drive them to say goodbye. Live in Rehoboth Beach, Emma Aiken, Coast TV News.
Emma, thank you. And the fallout continues from Trump's tariffs across the nation. Investors are nervously watching the global market's huge drops on Wall Street. NBC's Yamiche Alcindor shows us how allies of the U.S. are pondering their next moves during this trade war.
For the second straight day, the Dow plummeted as nervous investors pulled out of the market and countries began retaliating for President Trump's tariffs. But still, the president's standing firm.
It's going to be a booming country, a very booming country. It's going to be amazing, actually.
Today, China hitting back, imposing its own 34% tariff on all U.S. goods shipped into that country. President Trump responding on social media saying China played it wrong. They panicked. On the flip side, Vietnam. In another post, the president saying the general secretary of that country told him he wants to cut Vietnam's tariff to zero.
Tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation. It's also possible that the effects could be more persistent.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell signaling the central bank won't move on interest rates until it gets a clearer picture of the impact of the tariffs. But how long until that happens? The uncertainty bringing the market down. NBC's Christine Romans reporting from the stock market floor.
They don't know if this is President Trump negotiating with other countries or if these really will be baseline tariffs that stay on.
This all comes as Americans are caught in the middle of this growing trade war.
My wife already has actually started to sort of penny pinch, not overbuy.
Experts say the tariffs could cost the average family at least $3,800 a year, with wages going down for lower income families and prices of everything from shoes to produce going up.
And all this does bring us to our Coast TV poll tonight. We want to know if you think U.S. tariffs help or hurt the economy.
Let's take a look at the results so far. Take a look at your screen. 70% say hurt because it will raise prices. 7% say help because it will protect businesses, but 23% say it's too early to tell. And I think it's too early for us to tell how these poll results will come through as the evening continues.
Right, and we still want you to vote. We'll show you updated results on Coast TV News at 6, so go to our website, coasttv.com, or use our mobile app.
And let's go ahead and take a live look now outside into Laurel as we check in with our First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Paul Williams, on our forecast. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening. And you know, it's staying a bit on the cloudy side. Now listen, the trade-off is this. We were concerned about possibly getting some thunderstorms rumbling through and ruining your whole weekend with rain all day long. Doesn't look like that, but it's going to be kind of gray, kind of dismal, kind of that. Okay? But at least we're not looking for widespread rain that's going to like start flooding or anything like that. So there's a trade-off that we're having. So we stay very cloudy right now in Laurel, 74 degrees. So that's well above the 62, which is the norm for this time of the year. We will drop down to 66 by 9 o'clock. Now we do have a chance of a passing shower or two. Nothing that's going to have long staying power, but it will have enough to possibly show up. I mean, we're in the 60s along the shore. However, we are in the 70s throughout the inland areas. We're at 74 degrees in Del Mar, Georgetown, and Seaford. We're holding at 73 degrees right now in Milton. And overall, we see the cloud cover still sticking around, and it will hover. And when I say hover, Matt, I'm talking about hovering all day, all night, and for the next couple of days in a row. But the kicker is, wait till I tell you when we're going to drop back to freezing temperatures.
Thank you, Paul. In Rehoboth, DelDOT says the drawbridge leading into downtown, it needs structural work to prevent erosion. DelDOT is eyeing the off-season for these repairs starting October, lasting through April. Some people in Rehoboth, though, think construction will finish before next year's summer season. Not everybody is optimistic, though.
It's been my experience that there's always some type of unforeseen delay. So maybe if they could start it earlier.
Sure, I think it would be great. And it needs repair, so they need to do it.
On Monday, DelDOT will host a public meeting about that project at 5 p.m. at the Rehoboth Convention Center.
Background check delays have stalled Delaware's recreational marijuana industry. State-issued recreational marijuana license winners who were expected to be open by now are stuck in limbo after the FBI rejected the state's background check proposal. Now a new bill, House Bill 110, aims to clarify and clean up some of the language surrounding background check requirements. Some lawmakers hoping this legislation will resolve the issue and allow the industry to finally launch here in the first state.
We need to get this up and running. People have invested a lot of time and a lot of money, and it's not fair, and the public wants to see this done.
Now, Senator Pardee says the bill will be reviewed on the House floor next Thursday.
New tonight, the head of the National Security Agency has been handed a pink slip. General Timothy Haw, who was also in charge of the military's Offense and Defensive Cyber Unit, was dismissed by the Trump administration. No official word has been given on what led to his removal. Rehoboth Avenue paving on the way, when work is resuming, and what drivers need to know.
Overcast conditions are expected over the weekend while the temperatures stay above the norm for this time of the year.
At first, spring has sprung. Up next, we'll show you there's plenty of cool things to do this weekend on Delmarva. It is that time of year. The air is fresh, the flowers are blooming, and there's plenty of reasons to get outside. This weekend, you're going to want to wake up and smell the tulips. The 16th annual Lewis Tulip Celebration is back and running all month long. You can take a colorful stroll around the city, courtesy of the Lewis Chamber of Commerce and Lewis in Bloom. Also in Lewis on Saturday, you can run for a cause. The second annual Race for Open Space kicks off at George H.P. Smith Park with a 5K and a 1-mile walk passing by the 4th Street Preserve. All proceeds help protect this 29-acre Sussex County gem. It's all about art in Milton this weekend as the Milton Arts Guild celebrates 20 years. From 6 to 10 p.m. at Camp Arrowhead, enjoy music by the Hot Sauce Band, drinks from Dogfish Head, a s'more station, a silent auction, and more. Or you can cheer on the Brave Souls tackling 26.2 miles this Saturday at the Salisbury Marathon. It starts at 7 a.m. You can sign up yourself or cheer the runners on as they sprint, jog, or just try to survive. For some more details, you can head over to CoastTV.com and check out the Cool Things to Do article.
Cloudy all day, all night, pretty much all weekend long. That's what we're expecting, and we'll get a little drop of rain here or there, but at least we're not looking for a washing out of plans totally, unless your plans are really sensitive to a raindrop or two. Our gutter helmet camera in Ocean City, 67 degrees right now, and we'll drop down to 61 by 9 o'clock with partly to mostly cloudy skies. We have temperatures in the 70s throughout the inland area, 74, for example, in Georgetown, Seaford, as well as Del Mar. However, a little bit cooler on the beaches, 60 degrees Bethany Beach, 59 Indian River Inlet, and 66 degrees right now at Rehoboth Beach. Winds primarily kind of pouring gently out of the north for the most part. Gust only up to about, let's say, 12-mile-per-hour gust in Redden, as well as Seaford at only 12 miles per hour, not all that aggressive. And it's also indicative of the movement of cold air. You see, we have the cold front that's pushing down because when you take a look at these barbs, the triangles kind of tell you the direction of the wind. So you can see it's pointing downward. So that's what's happening with the winds coming out of the north as well. Both of those coincide nicely together. We still have volatile weather throughout the central part of the country, but because this frontal boundary and this area of instability just isn't moving towards us, we're no longer sweating this system any longer, because by the time it even gets closer to us, it's going to run out of energy, kind of like Popeye without his spinach. Tyndall's casual furniture view right now staying cloudy. We're looking for scattered showers overnight. Not a washout for this weekend. Remains warm, 70s and 80s. And we're looking for a strong cold front on Sunday. Now, Sunday, the game changes dramatically on Sunday. But let's take this one situation at a time. All right, Sunday, we're going to watch out for elevated chances of rain that's going to develop on Sunday as well. And as you take a look at our expectations, by 6:30 in the morning, early Saturday morning, we're going to look out for a thunderstorm to pop up in Ellendale briefly, and then it moves over towards Lewis by 7 o'clock, and then it's gone. So we're talking about 1 hour of rain that may be a little bit heavy, but it's only 1 hour, okay? Sunday's pretty much the same situation, staying relatively light. So highs tomorrow will be in the 70s throughout the inland areas. We're watching out for about 71 in Cambridge, and we anticipate about 69 degrees, for example, in Berlin. The pollen count is going to start skyrocketing for us a little bit because we're looking at moderate levels of juniper, maple, and poplar, and we're going to have to start talking about those pollen counts pretty soon. Swirling winds will continue for the next few days. Now, temperatures are going to stay elevated till we get to Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and that's when things begin to change for us. We have the front that pushes through with that chance of rain, but the cold air steps in. When I say cold air, I mean cold air. Hey, take a look at this. We usually only use this during the winter months. Ta-da! Wednesday, Thursday. By the way, Maddie, don't be surprised if we're doing freezing stories on Wednesday morning. She said, oh, man. I love making her day when I'm doing the forecast. Here's a look at your extended forecast. Here's the reason why she said, oh, man, 30, 33. That just don't seem right. There's got to be some ordinance against that, but I don't know what it is.
All right, well, thank you for that forecast, Paul. Here's a few traffic alerts to be aware of across Delmarva. First, drivers in Rehoboth Beach. This weekend, you can expect overnight road work on Rehoboth Avenue. The city says beginning Sunday, crews will be repaving the road. That's from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Work is happening between the traffic circle and 2nd Street. The goal is for all of the work to be done by May 16th.
Over in Cambridge, road work starting Monday on Route 50 between Bucktown Road and Austin Road. MDOT says crews will work 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Drivers expect single-lane closures and resurfacing while that's all happening.
Finally, in Salisbury, some big changes coming to Carroll Street in downtown. City officials announced they will be shrinking the bike lanes there. After a 2-year study, officials say they found out the lanes were not being used very often and that the layout was confusing for drivers. The new design will include 2 lanes in each direction, bike paths on both sides of the road, and will stretch from Route 13 to Circle Avenue. Salisbury Mayor Randy Taylor says this will make the road safer for everyone.
We have just restored it to what it looked like before and what the city looks like, while at the same time maintaining bike lanes on either side to allow for that population to have that mode of transportation.
Mayor Taylor says the work should begin in the next 45 days or so, and drivers can expect minor disruptions throughout the spring there in Salisbury.
Coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network at 7:30, you can watch the playoffs for Men's Major Arena Soccer League. And the final score, of course, at 10:30. On the DSN Plus app right now, you can watch Indian River play Worcester Prep in boys lacrosse. Also, you can catch high school girls soccer when Delaware Military Academy visits Delmar.
Coming up, TikTok ban update, the newest development in the law that would ban the app. Stay tuned on CoastTV News at 5.
President Donald Trump has delayed enforcement of a law that would ban TikTok while his staff works on a deal to maintain access to the app in the U.S. Today, Trump announced the deadline has been extended for 75 days. In a social media post, the president said his administration is working hard on a deal to save TikTok. The news comes ahead of the April 5th deadline. Last year, former President Joe Biden signed a law that required the China-based parent company to sell the app or face a U.S. ban.
It is spring break season, and if you're planning a trip to the Bahamas, pay attention here. The U.S. State Department is urging travelers to be cautious due to crime concerns. The Bahamas is listed now at level 2 of 4 on the State Department's assessment for travel safety. Level 1 is the safest, and level 4 means do not travel. Now, to be clear, the State Department is not discouraging travel to the Bahamas. It's just warning travelers to exercise increased caution, particularly in Nassau, where many cruise ships dock. They say there are increasing reports of violent crime, sexual assault, and unsafe water activity involving jet ski or boat operators.
The U.S. job market did better than expected last month. Today, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported 228,000 positions were added in March. However, analysts say things could change soon, citing recent economic data that predicts layoffs and overall uncertainty that could rise due to recent policy changes by the current administration.
Tax day, it's right around the corner, April 15th, and ahead of that deadline, fewer Americans have filed their federal taxes at this point in the season compared to last year. Also, more people have requested extensions. That's according to private IRS numbers and the latest public data. As of March 21st, the IRS had received nearly 1 million fewer tax returns than it had gotten in the same period last year. Experts say the drop itself is not necessarily a concern, but it does come amid concerns about possible declines in revenue collection.
Time to take one more look at our CoastTV poll. We want to know if you think U.S. tariffs help or hurt the economy. So far, a majority have been saying hurt, but wow, this has changed a lot since the beginning of our newscast. 57% say hurt, but 35% are in that too early to tell category. 8% say they help by protecting businesses. We'll check back in at 6 p.m. on these latest poll results, and of course, go vote now. Let's take one more live look outside now into Dover. A check on the forecast after this.
We're staying cloudy for now and pretty much most of the weekend. Our Bay Health camera in Milford showing we're at 71. We'll drop to 64 with partly to mostly cloudy skies. By the way, our umbrella giveaway winner, Jill Audino of Millsboro. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration and Home Remodeling. We've already updated our weather line. Be sure you call it at 443-880-9100, or better yet, you can download our app. That'd be a good idea too, by the way. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Listen, I'm just going to be straight. I'm just going to tell it to you straight here. Enjoy this weekend because it's going to be warm and cloudy, because next week I need you to pull out your sweater, your coat, all of your real winter stuff, because Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday will not be friendly.
Got it, Paul. Thank you, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 5.
For some more local news and local weather, you can download our Coast TV News app.
Inside Edition is up next.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great evening.